Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chesswise. Today we are at the third part of our blockade series and we are going to see one more lesson after this. So first let us try to understand what this lesson is about. You can look at this position, it is black to play. See the black king here, it lacks space and it is very clear that it's a very bad thing. But sometimes the king not having place can be a useful thing as well. Another factor that you see is the black queen, which is attacked right now, and also there are a couple of mating threats from g7, and the square h7 is weak, means queen can join from h6, h5 or h4 to mate on h7. So let's say if black goes with q b1 check, then comes king h2. Now see q b8 check, king h3, q b3 check, let's say, and then just g3, and it becomes like a no check position. Nothing happens from here and there are several threats on the black king. Black decides to go with rook f1 check here and see what happens. After the only move king h2, black now decides to sacrifice everything. See, rook h1 check. If qg2 is played first, then queen takes g2 and now rook sacrifice is just met by queen takes g1. The king will have place on this g8 square. So black goes first, rook h1. And now see if king takes h1, just qg2 check. Black sacrifices his queen also, all given up. And see it says stalemate, black king has no place. So king g3 was played and now here black simply played queen g2 check. See, it must be shock for white because the king g2 and now the only move is rg1. If rook h2, then king g3. And now see rook g2 check is too slow because too late rather because king f4, rook g5, kg5 and black is just put down, it will get mated. King basically has place on g8. Black played immediate rook g1, the king has to take the rook either, then it's a direct stalemate, and if the king moves as in the game king f3 then rook g5, and draw was agreed because king and rook versus king and rook is mostly drawn. Let's go to the next one. So we have the second position here. It is black to play. This is somewhat tricky one, and in this in fact white could have got himself into a good position. See, lot of tactics going on, but frankly speaking black has only one move, that is the move f2 check. Rook g2 does nothing, right? You can see easily if rook g2 then takes and see checks are over and queen up position winning for white. So f2 check was played, of course, king f1, and here black tried the move bishop g2. See how surprising the events can turn into, because see now what is happening, white would have well saved himself. See, had he played the move here, rook g2, then after fe1 queen check, king takes queen and rook takes queen, white still has very good winning chances, right? This rook you can see will come to the a2 square, the pawn will move to a7 and then gradually white can mix this movement of h pawn followed by bringing the king up here, okay, and eventually coming to d5. This can give him a win, right? But unfortunately what happened? White thought that the checks are getting over. He played the move kg2, assuming what? If f takes e1, then queen takes, and see here the checks won't stand up good, any good, because see you can stop the check soon. After queen e4 check, the king can be played to f1. f1 is a very safe place. The reason being queen h1 check, rook g1, queen f3, then queen f2 checks are getting over. The black queen is pinned. But see what happened. Here black played the very surprising move f1 queen double check. See what a move. This must have come as a shock to white. Now see what happens. If the king moves away to g3, then we just take the rook with the check and we can just take next move queen check, or even directly rook takes queen. See, and here it is much worse condition because rook cannot take the rook as well because queen f4, either the rook is taken or you can see instantly there is queen g4 checkmate. So it's game over. So white was compelled to go king f1, right? And now the shocker of a move, rook f2 check. Suddenly what we see, the king is trapped. See, there are no places for the king. Okay, and see this f4 square is guarded by the queen here. And see what is going to happen. If king takes the rook on the spot stalemate, so he played kg1, again rook g2 check, rook can't be taken, king h1, and now see rook h2 check. One has to be careful. Rook g1 blunder, the e rook will take and the king will get these two squares to move. So just see rook h2 check. Now see king cannot take again. King f2 is on the spot stalemate. And so is see queen h2 stalemate. King g1, rook checks, king f1, queen f2 check, and these checks keep on repeating the position. So it's a draw by perpetual check or draw by stalemate. And see what a escape by black. And do note that these are master games, okay, and these are not composed positions. Let's go to the third one now. So this is the position here, white to play. Now many of you must have easily spotted that the white king has no place. See, this is how we identify patterns. After doing a position of similar pattern, maybe 3, 4, 5 or 10, definitely we start getting the feel. Oh, it's like a typical pattern what we did. So now again see, white wants to sacrifice his queen and either this pawn which will queen or which will become knight. See, always we should consider knight whenever pawn is not queening with a check. But unfortunately here, if you make e8 queen firstly, then queen h2 is on the spot mate. And if we do e8 knight, then king f8. And see here it's a no check position. And white is unable to sack anything also. Q g2 forced, then take and king takes e8, easily winning for black. White plays queen e5 check. Of course, he calculated a bit, and even if he would have not, then also he was forced to do this. So first point is that now if f6, this line is actually the most difficult one. I feel this didn't happen in the game. E8 knight check, and see after any variation, let's say king f7, then queen f6 check easiest. K e8, queen e7, sack the queen, and it's a stalemate. And after king h7, the knight check from f6 simply draws the game. King has to come to ch6 and then knight g8 check. We are ready to sack the knight. Bishop takes g8. Then see you have queen h8 check, bh7 force, queen takes h7. The queen has to be taken and it is stalemate. After king h7 to again knight f6 check. This is just repetition. Wherever king moves, it is drawn. So black played king h7 in the game, and now you must have easily understood the only move queen h8 check and c8 queens with a check, kg7, queen f7 check. Continuously the king will be harassed. If king goes to if bf7 on the spot stalemate, if king goes to h8, you must have known by now g7 is safest. Okay, qh7 is wrong. Queen will take on h7. This is brought. So in the game, black tried king h6, but just king g6 check. The queen has to be taken and draw agree. So the basic whole point is here that black could do nothing about these checks. But white was alert enough to understand that his king lacked space. This was the whole point of our blockade series. 3 parts were there, and we will have one more lesson on a different topic that will complete our course based on how masters think. So definitely let me know how you found this lesson in the comments below. Thanks for your time.